Hi, Dave Fries here. Today, I'd like to go over a process that I use. I do this about once a week, but there's a little bit of a follow-up. I do a mini version of it once a week on Mondays before I meet with Lisa Snyder, who helps me with the marketing, both for the law firm and for the coaching programs and products. So this process I use creates just an unlimited supply of marketing ideas, and it's making sure that we are reviewing what we're up to and modifying and improving our marketing calendar on an ongoing basis. So yeah, I wanted to make sure that you knew I had everything I needed here. I have a small dog today, Tucker, and I have an iced coffee. If you don't have one, you might want to get one. And then I have 3 magazines of very different types. I want you to figure out, and I just looked through these a few minutes ago to prepare. So I've got Popular Science, I have Inc., and I have Cosmo. And obviously these appeal to very different markets. So one of the things that you're going to want to do in order to utilize this process is to figure out what magazines, trade journals, popular magazines that the vast majority of your best clients or customers look at and enjoy. If you haven't been asking those kinds of questions, you might want to start, and you might want to do it all in one fell swoop by trying a survey that you're sending them by email and offering, of course, to share the results with them and making it kind of entertaining for them. Why do you want to know what your clients and customers are reading? Well, the obvious reason is that you'll be able to see how other people are approaching them and talking to them, the language they're using, what's provoking interest, what their fears, worries, and concerns are, which will be very powerful and helpful to you in developing your own marketing, developing your own products and services that you're going to be selling to them. So once you know a couple of the magazines, journals, newspapers that they're reading, this could be a very, very, very useful exercise to go through. So first, let's take Inc. And let's say that you're a business to professional or B2B business that's selling to the same demographic that reads Inc. It's pretty easy to figure out what the demographics of any of these major magazines are. You can actually call their advertising folks and ask about the demographics and the advertising costs because someday you might advertise here, but more importantly because you want to know who they are actually appealing to and seeing if it's a good match to your market. Now notice I said that you want to know what your best clients and customers are reading. Those are the people that we're most interested in appealing to with the things that we write, the products and services that we develop, and the advertising and marketing that we do. So Inc., a couple of things I just want to show you really quickly here. So what I would do is I would sit down at least once a month with a stack of magazines that appeal to my particular marketing, and I do this for each of the businesses and for each of the products and services that we're really trying to work on in each of these areas. So if Inc. magazine repeatedly showed up as something that my demographic was reading, I'd go through it and then I would make a list something like this. So notice that they have a cover for the cover that is promoting a conference. So are you doing things when you send out materials? Are you promoting other things that you're doing? Are you promoting other people's? And this will also give you ideas about how to do it effectively, about the layout, how they handle registration. So a cover to the cover. Then let's look back here. And we've got, you'd think I'd get that right by now. The covers often give us formulaic kind of approaches that we could use. So you'll see here, Next Gen Time-Saving Tools, page 45. Whenever we produce written materials or even videos, when we're promoting them, it's great to say, this appears at minute such and such of the video, or this appears at page such and such of the report. So next-gen time-saving tools could easily be converted to something else that you're doing in one of your reports, and easy to make a formula out of that. Next generation blank tools. Beat Your Own Mind Games. Here's another one. And Twitter CEO Dick Costolo on keeping focus under fire. So it could be that keeping focus under fire is a topic that's of interest to your audience, but it could be that you could produce something else, quoting, interviewing a person who's familiar, well-known, or has a powerful job that would be well-known to your readers. So notice here that we've got the major headline, Get More Done. So we're really getting a sense of what the readers of Inc. magazine are looking for. So I'm keeping a list as I go, and then we're using this list in our Monday meetings to go through and modify our marketing calendar. Now notice this assumes two things. One, that you're creating the time, certainly each month, preferably each week, to actually work on your business or your professional practice and the marketing of it, or to work with the people that are doing that for you and to coordinate it and make it more strategic. And that as part of that, you're keeping a marketing calendar, which will get you to use your resources way more intelligently, way more effectively. And you'll be looking back to see each campaign that you did, will it be working or not? We also watch for the sort of images that our readers here in these magazines are being shown, because that overlaps with our demographic. And we look for headlines that we can use for articles that we're writing in subject lines. Now, when I talk about, and when anybody talks about a swipe file, understand we're not saying to go and violate the copyright. We're not saying to copy this, and it may not even be effective. It may not work for you. But to take these kind of ideas and make formulas out of them that you can easily adapt to your audience. So here's one that we see, which is a headline that says, "Where there's business, there's Epson." Now, where there's blank that gets them back to you could be a very, very useful tool. Here's a headline: "I went straight from college to running my own business." Again, it is a particular type of headline, and it reminds us to check, are we using this? Are we using a quote headline or a testimonial headline? If you want to see some great testimonial headlines, look at what Citrix GoToMeeting is running in lots and lots of magazines that you're probably reading. They're running them over and over again, month after month. The headline is a testimonial for Citrix. In this case, it's a quote. And using quotes and using testimonials in the headline as the headline can be highly effective. Here's another image-heavy ad, and this says, "The cloud that turns gamers into titans." So the blank that turns blank into blank might easily be adaptable for you. Here's an article: 4 big hiring mistakes and how to avoid them. Are we working on any reports? Are we working on any short PDFs? Are we working on any checklists where a headline like this might be useful and attractive to our readers? And notice here, again, it's hiring mistakes. It's alerting us to who and what the readers of Inc. magazine are worried about and thinking about. And if we've found that our buyers are Inc. magazine readers, this could be very, very useful in leading us to the kind of content that they might want to see. Here's an article called "Tip Sheet," and it's damage control, subheading: "Making unpopular choices is part of running a company. What you need to know to avoid pissing everyone off." I could see where that would be easily adapted by you to this same type of audience with content that you might have. These are the sorts of things, by the way, that we do in the mastermind groups. We go through what you've been developing and trying to make sure that we're adapting it to your audience and getting you to adapt it to your audience. Once you get this practice down, though, it becomes very, very easy. We have more ideas than we could ever want once a month, and we keep track of them. We keep an Excel spreadsheet, Lisa and I, so that we can look back and see, what do we have to do in the next week, what needs to be done by next month, what's on the priority for the next quarter, and then what are things that we have to get done by the end of the year. Then we keep a list of all of these things that we see here that we want to be doing and might be doing for a particular campaign, but we don't have one on the horizon yet. That way, when we're ready to do one, we could just go back and look at that Excel spreadsheet. We can attach these kinds of images to it if we want to. It's a great tool. There's an article here: "Building a Better Can of Tuna. Safe Catch wants to transform this mundane lunchtime go-to into America's new superfood." Again, you could use that to title a report. Here's a headline that could easily be adapted. It is for Energizer. It's a very interesting headline. We're testing something that's in the same vein. "The newest thing in batteries isn't 100% new. Introducing Energizer Eco Advanced." So the newest thing in, for example, what I do, estate planning, isn't new at all. It could be, and we could talk about how we base this kind of asset protection trust on something that was common in English and Scottish law in the 14, 15, and 1600s. And you could tell a good story about that. But here is a headline that we can make formulaic and look at, are we producing headlines consistently that we can put into our subject lines, that we can make headlines of reports, that we can make headlines of blogs that are catchy and interesting. So I want to wrap up here with Inc. soon, but we've got The Psychology of Productivity, which is an article, a guide to overcoming the mental obstacles that slow you down. So you could have the psychology of whatever it is. You could interview a psychologist. You can develop a guide to overcoming the blank types of obstacles that are slowing you down or preventing you from getting, if you're a podiatrist, the right care for your plantar fasciitis. I mean, there are many, many ways that you could be employing these headlines. Here's one: Think Smarter, Grow Bigger. Again, it's an ad in their own publication for a live event they're running. So, are you running a live event? Are you running webinars? Are you advertising them in your newsletter? Are you advertising them in your blog? Are you cross-promoting these things across all the media that you use? Then once you find out where they're best cross-promoted, are you focusing on that each and every time? So these are all things that we see and that we're reminded of. Here's one: get the recognition that you deserve. Are you recognizing other businesses in your community if you work locally, other thought leaders that can help you, with whom you can do joint ventures? Are you recognizing clients? We run, for example, a client profile of people in our office, and then community leaders profiles, which are business people's profiles, where we then recognize them, but also get access to their clients and customers, because they will be interested in showing off how you've recognized them. Here is one where they're advertising a book. It's if you have a business or thinking about starting one, this book will be the best investment you've ever made. That's Bo Burlingham. That is a testimonial quote again. And are you developing content like that you can sell yourself, and consider using testimonial quotes? So that's it if your audience matched Inc. magazine. Now, I imagine you're probably thinking, even if the demographic of your audience, of your readers, of your clients, of your customers are not avid readers of Inc. magazine, I'll bet you saw 4, 5, 6, 7 strategic things and tactical things in there that you could use even in your business. Now, you have to be careful about adapting them. But if your demographic lines up really well with the demographic of Inc. magazine, it is really easy to see what those readers are interested in and fascinated by, and what Inc. has decided that they've got to show them and tell them about. And that could be very useful to you in appealing to them in the marketing that you do and in the content that you write for them, or in the videos that you produce. So let's take a quick look at Popular Science. Again, we have the cover here. The next cyber attack could come from your coffee maker. This could be a great formulaic headline generator again. The next blank could come from your blank, something unexpected. Plus, they have here inside Amazon's drone lab. You could do it inside your office. You could do it inside your product and services. You could do it inside somebody else who also works with your audience and would be very compatible. They've got a headline here: Stress, It's Killing You, How to Beat It with Science. DIY hovercraft, take off in an hour. Again, all of these 15 must-have gadgets. Could you have a 7 must-know answers? Could you have a 6 must-have products or services that you have? Of course. And if you're not doing it, and you're not doing it regularly. Now, a lot of times at this point when we're teaching these things, somebody will say, like, well, we're already doing that. Or when I go to consult with a client or a law firm, they'll say, well, we're already doing that. But when we look, they're not actually doing it. They tried it once. It may have even been moderately to highly effective. They stopped doing it for reasons that no one knows or understands anymore. So these should be reminders to make sure that you are doing it. Another headline generator here: Why is everyone so scared of artificial intelligence? ? Relax, period, by Stephen Hawking. So again, you could get somebody to author something for you, but you could use a headline like this: Why is everyone so scared of something that your audience, that your clients, that your customers are in fact scared of or worried about? So would your audience, would your language be different? Why is everyone anxious about? Why is everyone frightened of? You know, you'll find out how it is that your clients, customers, and audience actually refer to these things. It's official. Here is an ad. It's official. This one is by AT&T. Just think about announcing when it's official that it is official. And you may be anointing yourself, but letting people know. Here's an ad by Big Ass Fans, which has turned out to be a very powerful direct response advertiser. And this says Haiku goes high tech. It's for a fan that they call Haiku. Um, but you could have, again, anything going high tech. This has got some bullets in here, which are highly effective. And so one of the things that you might also want to do when you're doing your monthly or weekly read through a particular kind of magazine is to begin to keep a swipe file of these electronically. You might write the formulas of these kinds of headlines. You might write these ideas. You might, like Lisa and I do, keep them in an Excel spreadsheet. Here's one, gentlemen, colon. So we suspect, by the way, from some of the things we're seeing, that more men than women read popular science. But this ad is for Viagra. It says, gentlemen, colon, Viagra helps guys, well, to achieve something that they want to achieve. I don't need to read it here, but gentlemen, blank helps guys to do this. Women, blank helps professional women to achieve this. It's stark, it's great, it can be a very highly effective headline. Here's an ad, again, we suspect, again, as we see this kind of advertising, that the readers of popular science are homeowners. We see a lot of ads for this. This one is a combination of a card mailer that is compatible with the ad. So if you like the ad and the headline, there's also a response tool right here that sticks out. And it says in giant lettering, get your free Somersetter awning idea kit and DVD. Mail this card today. There are a lot of aspects of this, both the ad and the response mechanism, that you want to make sure are in your advertising, whether you're advertising your own stuff in your own publications. For example, we might use a response card like this one and stick it into books on related topics, selling the client or the customer or the reader or the prospect on the idea of exploring other things with us that would be of interest to them. Very, very interesting. In the ad itself, there is a response mechanism, and then there's also a separate response mechanism. Very, very powerful. Are you doing that? That's a great question that we asked ourselves. There's an ad here, shoes that will change your life. And please notice that there's a sort of sidebar over here. It says scientifically engineered, remember what magazine it's in, to defy gravity, shoes that will change your life, ... guaranteed. Now, obviously, if you're an attorney or doctor, you can't put guarantees in your headlines, at least not as to results. But you can produce books or reports or products and make guarantees ethically, probably as to those. There are guarantees in here. There's free shipping. There's very interesting layout. It's written very well for the audience that's going to be reading it. Here's one, a better bed equals better sleep. This is an ad for Reverie. It's got a deep sleep system, which is trademarked. What this is reminding us of is a couple things. One is a better blank equals better blank is a great formula that we could use over and over again. This is also reminding you, it's got a free brochure and DVD info kit to have ancillary materials, because it's hard to sell something complicated and expensive in an ad. It's easier to sell them on getting more information about something that's interesting to them. So a couple of other things here. Also, trademarking and having proprietary names can be very useful in certain industries. There is a very effective ad in here where it's got a Dave Ramsey plug for it. It is a security system, and it is a smarter home security. It offers exceptional savings and no annual contracts. So we suspect that a lot of people that have security systems don't like their annual contracts. And if you read this copy, they're appealing both in the headline and the copy to a problem throughout the industry. Okay, you get it? Popular science. Now Cosmo. There are more things in each of these that I could ever take the time to talk to you about today. But let's just take a look at the cover. Again, there are lots of ideas here for formulas that we can make for subject lines and headlines. His secret marriage checklist. Of course, you could do that. You could have a secret checklist that's something that some of your top clients do. You could have these should-ask questions, the questions that even the secret should-ask questions, the questions even your savviest clients or patients don't know to ask. So there's a lot of things that can be transformed there. Cosmo does a very good job also of laying out where its cover stories are going to appear again and what they are going to talk about. They do something each month. In this case, it's sexy versus skanky. You could do the same thing where you're comparing something very successful that you're able to do versus something that produces a bad result. You could also use infographics like that. Let me see here. Oh yeah, here's another response. We've got advertising, which is not particularly useful advertising, with a separate response card. This raises the issue, are you doing joint ventures? Is there anybody, any other profession, business, product, or service where you should be putting advertising for their stuff either in your materials that you're sending out or on your thank you page or in boxes that you shipped? Here's one. We asked 100 guys on the street, are spiked nails sexy or scary? They give the result. Well, again, this may or may not be your demographic. Your demographic may or may not be interested in that particular thing, but could you figure out what your demographic was interested in and do a very short survey and publish the answers to that in something that you're doing? And would that be interesting? Here's an article, Seduction Secrets French Women Know, followed just a short time later by fascinating new facts about cheating, followed a short time later by a regular sex Q&A column. But these raise all of these questions. Should we have a Q&A column monthly? Should you have a Q&A if you don't already have one on your website? Should you have Q&A PDFs on various topics that go out? Can you have a Q&A DVD or video like this? So there are many, many things in each of these five. Let's see here. 5 reasons raunchy girls are winning and 5 sensual massages to do together. Do we get the idea that Cosmo both likes the number 5 and that they have developed certain themes and ideas that are appealing and they have a real clarity of understanding of what is appealing to their demographic? So if your demographic, again, matched Cosmo's, could you get idea after idea after idea? And even if it doesn't, like for example, in that case, one of the things I made a point to do was to generate a survey to a couple of our mailing lists where we haven't surveyed them in a while. We will ask them some thought-provoking questions, which will probably cause a certain number of them to call and update or order a new product or service. It will cause many of them to reinstitute contact with us in one way or another, and it'll give everybody information that they'll find interesting because we're going to survey them on a topic that we know is interesting to them. One last thing. In an unrelated magazine, I saw an ad for Harbor Freight, and they did an interesting thing where some of the coupons that they were advertising were labeled as super coupons. So I hope that you see that this process has to be repeated regularly. But the more often you repeat it and the more regularly you do it, I'd advise at least monthly, the more powerful this marketing calendar of yours will become. And take the time then, once you institute some of these things, to go back and see what really worked and repeat that over and over and over again. I hope you've enjoyed this. We're going to be bringing you more process videos. If you'd like to do more of this together with other people who can help you to see what they've done and to refine what you're doing, if you enjoy the live event format, then go to 3daystosuccess.com and join us at one of our live events or Business Black Ops.